Right, so would you believe there is still more news coming out regarding Sharon Graham's Unite Union and its ongoing insistence that the film Oh Jeremy Corbyn, The Big Lie, is anti-Semitic and offensive? Well, it's true, and I've actually got a bit of an exclusive on this, so stick with me. This is as hilarious now as it is buzz. This actually feels like it has been prompted by an article recently written in Skwawkbox, actually, just a couple of weeks ago, in fact, a publication that really seems to really trigger the Graham gang, really quite gets under their skin when they reported on a response from the Cambridge branch of Unite Community complaining about the ban on the use of Unite buildings to both show the film and also to host part of the book launch tour of Electronic Intifada journalist Asa Winstanley and his new book, Weaponising Antisemitism. Now, this elicited a pretty pathetic rote response from the office of Sharon Graham, to whom this had been directly addressed to, but she wasn't available. I wonder if other Unite members remember talk of there being a hotline direct to Graham when she stood for General Secretary. It's funny how that never materialised, isn't it? But at any rate, her number two, Gail Cartmail, issued what was a pretty miserly rote response on behalf of Graham, who was not available, which at the time had added in a mention of Unite's support for the Palestinian cause. Remember that, it's important later. The Union has been widely panned for it, though. Well, last night, I was sent a copy of a reply sent to a Unite member, I shan't say any more than that about them, who had taken it upon themselves to, again, like so many other members had, to challenge the Union over its ridiculous stance regarding the Jeremy Corbyn Big Lie film. The Unite member simply asked why Unite had banned the film on its premises. This is the reply they got, word for word, from Membership Services this time, not the Office of Sharon Graham, where they had directed their query. And it said, there have been a small number of requests to show the Big Lie film in Unite offices. We have also received concerns that the film has the potential to offend on issues that have proven previously to be extremely divisive. Unite is proudly anti-racist and stands with all minorities in our communities who face prejudice and discrimination. Following the publication of the Equality and Human Rights Commission's report of its investigation into anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, on reflection, corrected his initial response to the report. We must never tolerate anti-Semitism or belittle concerns about it. I regret the pain this issue has caused the Jewish community and would wish to do nothing that would exacerbate or prolong it. To be clear, concerns about anti-Semitism are neither exaggerated nor overstated. Labour List published an article by Paul Mason, a Corbyn supporter, during his period as leader of the Labour Party. It is clear the film Oh Jeremy Corbyn, The Big Lie will offend and rakes up issues that Jeremy Corbyn in his statement addressed. I fully support Keir Starmer's decision to accept all the EHRC recommendations in full, and in accordance with my lifelong convictions, will do what I can to help the party move on, united against anti-Semitism, which has been responsible for so many of history's greatest crimes against humanity. Additionally, Unite has been criticised for not supporting in our offices a book launch. The publicity for the book states how the book shows how Labour's anti-Semitism crisis was manufactured, which again will cause offence. Unite has not banned the film mentioned, nor the book. However, we have declined to use our buildings for its showing and a related book launch. Alongside this, Unite has a long-standing commitment to international solidarity and has for decades supported the Palestinian cause and will continue to do so. No union has done more on Palestinian solidarity than Unite. Most recently, Unite led the parliamentary briefing on the government's restrictions on public bodies, preventing the boycott, divestment and sanctions in respect to the continuing illegal occupation of Palestinian land, the West Bank. This was reinforced by Unite's policy conference held earlier in July. Additionally, the issues covered in this film relate to internal Labour Party matters, and that is not the focus of our union. In this time of a cost of living crisis, rising inflation and interest rates, our union's focus is on the critical fight for our members' jobs, pay and conditions, as well as issues affecting our local communities. Now, thank you for bearing with me while I went through all of that. It was worth reading the whole thing because word for word, it is identical to the email Gail Cartmail sent to Cambridge Community Branch, except for one subtle change that I picked up on. The line, Labour List published an article by Paul Mason, a Corbyn supporter during his period as leader of the Labour Party. It is clear that the film, Oh Jeremy Corbyn, The Big Lie will offend, da 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 da. Now, in Cartmail's response, they mentioned a Labour List article, but not which one, nor by whom, merely stating they had drawn a conclusion from it. But now we have the instance where the word of one journalist is being taken as gospel, whereas the writing of another, Asa Winstanley, has been banned. Because no matter how much you deny banning the film or the book, if you won't allow them in your buildings, then you have banned them. Why is one journalist's words worth more than another? And not to slight the Winstanley issue one iota, But the Unite member who sent this query didn't actually ask about that. They only asked about the film. So it shows how lazy Unite are being in responding to members' concerns about this. So why is Mason, though, more highly regarded than Winstanley? Unite state that Mason was a Corbyn supporter during his tenure as Labour leader, and I'd argue, sure, but as much as Keir Starmer was. So I thought I'd have a quick look at some of what Mason has been saying about the left lately, which is what Unite claim he was a supporter of. If he genuinely supported Corbyn, he'd still have those same left-wing ideals and ideas and standards you would imagine if he was the credible sort. Well, this Saturday coming, there is the launch of the big Stop Starmer event, organising resistance to the red Toryism, dishonesty and purging Starmer's brought in since he became leader. There's a piece in the Morning Star about it today, and Mason has sneered, in a rare moment of honesty, Putin's stooges inside the left explain exactly what they are trying to achieve, a Tory victory. I'd humbly suggest that's exactly what you're trying to do, Paul. A red Tory victory, which the left no more wants than a blue Tory victory, but you will do you in your typical insulting manner. His Twitter timeline at the moment is just a litany of retweets from Starmeroid MPs and the main Labour Party account, and he has been desperate to become a Labour MP, having applied literally all over the country and failing because nobody wants him. Even left-type journos, who often make you wonder whether they are at times, can't stand him. Aaron Bastani of Novara Media has called him as politically coherent as a wet flannel, and Owen Jones, in a span on social media, told him he'd sold out everything he believed in by blindly cheerleading for a leadership which holds him in contempt. The Labour List article Mason wrote is rancid, frankly, to my mind, and was written ahead of the intended showing in Glastonbury, which, of course, got cancelled. So before a great many people had a chance to watch it, in fact. And in fact, Mason's review made a lot of people wonder if he himself had genuinely watched it. He claims the film conflates Zionism, Jews and Israel. It does not. The film is about how Corbyn rose and fell and those operating behind the scenes that engineered that. Not just on the issue of anti-Semitism either, but on a great many other issues, not least the behaviour of numerous individuals at Labour HQ. Now, Mason rubbishes the film because of who it features. People, notably several Jewish people who had been expelled because, sure, the moves against Corbyn weren't solely aimed at him, but about destroying everything he stood for. And those supporting that, Jackie Walker, Graham Bash, Tony Greenstein, all get a mention by Mason in this article. He also complains about a montage of those who helped contribute to bring Corbyn down, such as the Conservative, largely Jewish Board of Deputies, the Jewish Labour movement, where you need neither be Jewish or a Labour member to join, Labour Friends of Israel, or rather Labour Friends of an Apartheid State, as it would better be called. How does that one square with Unite's commitment to Palestinians then, Sharon? I'm frankly equally appalled and amazed that Labour List even published what is an incredibly one-sided article launched basically in defence of Mason's new idol, Keir Starmer, and the justification of his treatment of Jeremy Corbyn by undermining the film, which spells out the truth of the matter. That's my opinion of the Mason article. Please do read it yourself if you haven't already and draw your own conclusions from it. Know your enemy, as I always like to say. But above all else, watch the film as well, though, and see if you think that article is right or wrong. Now, I've set out my stall here, but that Unite have taken Mason's word as gospel and justification for their actions is just horrifying. That a guy like Mason, rude in his social media responses, overtly pro-Starmer, bringing into question his left credentials and if he still sees himself as a socialist by supporting Starmer, well, frankly, that should ring alarm bells for anyone. If you think Starmer is a socialist still, then he's a bigger chump than I previously thought. Contrast that journalism, though, with Asa Winstanley. He's not a mainstream journo, therefore he might as well have leprosy as far as British media discourse goes. But he's easily one of the most professional, thorough and diligent investigative journalists we have in the UK today. And Unite's claims of being pro-Palestinian are also cast into heavy doubt by banning his book launch, because there are few journalists who have written more and spoken out more in the name of the Palestinian cause, which Unite claim to support. He's literally been going to Palestine and seeing it for himself for nearly 20 years. He's volunteered with the International Solidarity Movement, again, something that Unite says it supports, in the West Bank. Again, Unite mentioned that in their email. I can only speculate, frankly, on some of the things Asa Winstanley will have seen with his own eyes. And it's a testament, actually, to Jeremy Corbyn and his ardent opposition to the weaponisation of anti-Semitism and his support for the Palestinian cause, being the first mainstream political leader in years to raise the issue of that Palestinian plight and the apartheid state of Israel and thrust it into focus, that a man like Winstanley, with all of his experience of life in Palestine, not only took on the smears and accusations against Corbyn and the left more widely, but literally wrote a book on it. A book Unite have banned from being launched at their property in Bristol. So there's their solidarity for you. That Unite are still pushing this lazy one-size-fits-all response to queries about the film, though, is an insult to members angered by their union's actions. But to try and enhance their reasoning and their response by now naming Paul Mason in their response and his article as part of their justification makes the entire response to me a really sick joke now. Unite under Sharon Graham claiming Starmer is on notice, but the only notice he's going to be taking, actually, is how happy Unite are to functionally be on side with him in how they're acting and responding on this issue, certainly. Few people are as ardently supportive and loyal to Starmer these days than Paul Mason is. Like I said earlier, he's desperate to be a Labour MP. But if he was such a Corbyn acolyte, how come he turned down the chance to stand in his home constituency of Lee during the Corbyn years? Well, because apparently he was putting on a play there, a play where he was literally the only person in it. I'll be very interested to read your thoughts on this, folks. Many thanks to the chap who sent this email response in and has helped me to expose this. Delighted to be able to raise further important questions of the Unite leadership, frankly. It's my union, I want to know too. And indeed, if you could ask Sharon Graham or any other Unite officials about this, what would you ask them right now? Does citing Paul Mason undermine Unite, or do you think he's credible and wrote a valid piece? Have you seen the film yet? If not, get onto platformfilms.co.uk to find showings near you, and absolutely get your hands on a copy of Asa Winstanley's book, Weaponising Antisemitism This. It is an excellent piece, and before social media platforms, certain ones, berate me, I'll throw in that no, these are not paid endorsements, just genuine, appreciative ones. Do leave a comment and have your say on this, though, and be part of the conversation. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video useful. Please like, share, and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation, which I suppose the question will be, will Unite ban this too? Well, they may well end up featuring it, and in not such a good light, as the Corbyn film is set to get a sequel before this year is out even. And I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.